Now, on to our speaker of the hour, Suresh. Suresh has been with Toastmasters for the last 2.5 years. He is currently an area director, and he has served as VPE and VPPR at Genentech Toastmasters. Suresh is passionate about making this world a better place for everyone. And keeping with that, he is delivering all his speeches in his visionary communication pathway on environmental awareness of climate change issues. As an aspiring distinguished Toastmaster, Suresh loves to contribute to his peers' success by actively encouraging them to strive for their best. What better way to do this than to grow with Speechcraft? Everyone, please welcome Suresh Sugavanam.
Happy Diwali, everyone. Today is the Festival of Lights. For those who celebrate, this is a day where evil gets annihilated and succeeded with light. So we celebrate it by lighting small lamps at our homes to show this significance. What this signifies for us in our life is the elimination of ignorance, incoming of or welcoming of our knowledge and light in our life. That's the significance personally for each one of us as we get in here. Before I jump into the whole speech, I just want to give you a quick overview of what we're going to do today. We will specifically talk about how Toastmasters help with your leadership journey and how a Speechcraft program can help you with that. And we will look into the ingredients that makes a successful Speechcraft program and the people who needs to be involved or who are involved in this program. And at the end, we will summarize it. And we will also look at an agenda or a sample agenda of what a program can be. As Suraj mentioned, as we go along, if you have questions, please type it in the chat and Suraj will take care of it at the end of the meeting. Now, we are all here and connected by this one single thread called Toastmasters International. Our tagline is where leaders are made. In this great world where each one of us are taking our own journey of progression and evolution into better people and better person, I feel that Toastmasters International is a great help in leading us through that journey. Whether we have a title or no title, it does not matter. We all are leaders, either at work or at home, at any other space. We have the opportunity to lead others, help others, and be the best we can at any point in time. To me, where leaders are made also means that it is a continuous journey for all of us to be involved, and we shape, and this is a journey that never ends. It just keeps progressing. With that prelude, I do want to share with you what is expected of a leader. A leader is expected to motivate others. A leader is expected to inspire others. A leader strategizes. A leader builds. But all of this, to me, is an outcome of only one thing, and that is how you communicate. You may have the best intentions to motivate someone, but if your communication does not connect with somebody, it is not going to work out for you or the people who follow you as a leader. You can have a great vision. You can be an awe-inspiring leader. But how do you achieve it? Is through communication. And that's where Toastmasters helps us to kind of bring this together. The way I look at it is communication is the bedrock of leadership. Terry Longden, who was a longtime serving CEO of Macy's, gave this quote a few years back. The only way to address uncertainty is to communicate and communicate. And when you think you have just got to everybody, then communicate some more. This is true 10 years back. This is true now. And this is going to be more true in the future. Specifically at this time, when we all are homebound because of the pandemic, we all respond and correspond to each other through typing and chat messages, which does not carry emotions, which just comes bland to everyone. There is a higher opportunity for people to misunderstand you just by the words. Toastmasters gives you this opportunity to hone and refine that skill of communication and make it better and make you a better leader in delivering that information to everyone. When I talk about communication, the one key thing always I remember is there's two parts to this. One, the person who communicates. The other is the person who listens. And of course, the whole conversation happens because these two roles get switched between each other. The listener becomes a communicator, and the communicator becomes the listener. This is the role play that constantly happens. This Dilbert comic is one of the best ways to explain it. Oftentimes in this new pandemic world, we communicate and communicate and communicate. But if the person on the other end does not understand, it means you have not achieved much. On the other end, if somebody is talking to you and you are not willing to listen or hear to it, it just goes into the ether and nobody gets anything out of it. If you really look at the world of communication and in our language, communication is marked by so many words. Hear, talk, converse, listen, so many verbs. There is a reason why we have all of these things, because we, as a human being, we are a social being who are connected with each other. And the connection happens through communication, whether it's verbal or nonverbal. Speechcraft is an opportunity for us to kind of enhance this communication skill, put it into practice, and connect with each other. And that's why we are here. Before I jump into this, Suraj, can you please check with the participants about this question?
Yes, Suresh. So participants, you have a question here. Have you attended or conducted a Speechcraft program before? To answer yes to this question, please click on Participants found at the bottom center of your Zoom screen. This will open up a window showing all the participants. Click on the Raise Hand button.
Thank you, Suraj. While Suraj is tabulating and taking account of all what you say, I came into Toastmasters 2.5 years ago. I just happened to walk into my club at Genentech Toastmasters and sat there with fear of being called out. And they did call me out, but in a very friendly way. I took that opportunity to step up and give a table topic speech. One thing led to another, and then today I'm here in front of you speaking. Now, the one thing always I felt as I was given the opportunity to present myself there was the anxiety about what is this? What is this program? What are these people doing together? There is somebody who has a evaluator role, somebody who is a general evaluator, a sergeant at arms. What is this is all about? So it took me a few months to kind of get into the program and learn this by attending more and more meetings. As you all know, Speechcraft program is an easier way for you to get introduced into the Toastmasters world. And that's what we are going to see about in the next few slides. Let me take a pause. Suraj, do we have the results of the poll?
Yes, we do, Suresh. So it looks like only 6 out of 44 attendees here have heard or attended or conducted a Speechcraft program before. So it looks like this webinar is going to be extremely useful for the majority of people here.
Thank you, Suraj. And thank you everyone for your answers. So before I get into the nuts and bolts of what Speechcraft does, as I was talking to you, Speechcraft is an opportunity for everybody to learn about Toastmasters International as a club, because it welcomes everyone into your club and it helps you to make them participate in a welcoming way and learn about your club. The whole process of how we conduct a meeting, the process of how a speaker delivers a speech, how they receive a constructive feedback, how this is incorporated into their whole process of learning and growing as a leader. So to this end, certainly Speechcraft benefits your club a lot. It is the most easiest way for you to welcome members and build your membership. Now, if somebody is new to Toastmasters, they walk into this meeting where a room full of people are so eager to talk and super excited and pumped to work together. For them, this is an opportunity for them to learn what Toastmasters is all about. Once they walk into a Speechcraft program, they understand what Toastmasters schedule is and how and every single role in Toastmasters build towards developing or enhancing your leadership skill. Of course, they also do a lot of speeches, which helps them to learn public speaking. Now, there is always our seasoned Toastmasters who believe that, is there an opportunity for me to get even better? Can I get one more step ahead? I know I'm good, but is that the best? I want to be the best of the best. Now, for them, as a current member, this provides them an opportunity to refresh their speaking skills. When they are part of a Speechcraft program, they will start learning simple things from how to introduce a speaker to how to coach someone on how to deliver a speech. What are the parts of a speech? So they have a very critical role as a current member or a seasoned Toastmaster. When you participate in a Speechcraft program, you have a refresher of your skills and you also act as an advisor to the participants. So overall, Speechcraft benefits every single person involved in this, including the clubs, the public, and the existing members. Now, what is a Speechcraft program? We keep talking Speechcraft, but what is it? Speechcraft is what we call as a program, which is structured to have 4 or 6 or 8 sessions. And again, this is dependent on how much of time you have for conducting a session. The session time can vary from 60 minutes all the way up to 2 hours. And it can also be part of your regular club meetings. As I show you the agenda in the future slides, you would see that the structure of the program is very similar to what a Toastmasters meeting is, but it allows people to kind of step in and learn, practice, and participate as they go along. So if you're making Speechcraft as part of your regular club meetings, make sure you have allocated additional time and make sure you have enough participants to go around and learn. What is expected in a Speechcraft program? Each participant can do up to 6 projects. When we talk about 6 projects, it's 6 speech projects. So they will learn from icebreakers, organizing your speech, getting to the point, introducing a speaker. There are different speeches they can do. But for them to successfully complete the program, the expectation is set at 3 speeches. 1, the icebreaker speech. 2, organize your speech, and then get to the point. These are the 3 speeches we expect a participant to say that they have successfully achieved or graduated a Speechcraft program. Can we charge a fee? This seems pretty involved. The program needs to have 4 or 6 or 8 sessions, such a long time. Can we charge a fee for this? Yes, you can. Yes, you can, as long as it's reasonable. The one thing we have learned over a period of time is that if somebody pays up even a little bit of money, it helps them to kind of keep their motivation on, and it helps them to continue the interest and the attendance in the program. So this is what a Speechcraft program entails. Now, how can you do a Speechcraft program? First thing is decision, right? You as a club say with your officers that you want to grow your club and you want to use Speechcraft as a mechanism or as a program to develop it. So if you are interested in leading such a program, or if your club is interested, make sure that the club comes together and makes this decision. And once an official decision has been made, make sure that you identify a coordinator. In a lot of senses, a coordinator for the Speechcraft program functions as a quarterback. They're the one who are going to help in identifying multiple roles and lead this program through succession. So as you come together to organize, make sure that you have a good coordinator who's willing to take on this challenge. Identify members who can step in and help through the program. This requires a lot of support from your club and the members to be successful. Now, once you make the decision and put the team together, put the whole plan together, how you want to execute, make sure you promote it. Depending on the type of club you are, community or a corporate, you have multiple ways. You have your standard ways of communicating with the general audience, either through websites or newsletters or friends and family. I personally have seen that a lot of my friends knew that I was involved in Toastmasters, but they always had this refrain saying, oh, I'm not comfortable in stepping in and talking. This program is the best way for them to kind of step in and get to learn about Toastmasters, the easiest way for them to know. So word of mouth advertisement helps a lot. So if you want to run the program, make sure you decide, organize, and promote it. These are the key ingredients on how to run a Speechcraft program. Now, as I was mentioning, coordinator or the quarterback for this program is a key member of this whole Speechcraft program. The coordinator is expected to be an experienced Toastmaster. They are fully responsible for planning and managing the program. This will include setting up the meeting, the timings, the sessions. If it's an online session or a venue-based session, whatever is appropriate, this person is going to be the whole and sole responsible person doing it. The coordinator also gets to pick and work with their peers to do multiple roles in this program. They will need help from you as a peer to be a topics master, an evaluator, general evaluator, timer, an advisor, as I was mentioning before. One key other role the coordinator has to fill in is an educational presenter, where, as you see the program agenda, you will have specific speeches which needs to be delivered by a guest speaker or a presenter. So the coordinator either steps in and does those presentation or pulls in the right people to do those sessions. Now, who else is involved in this program? Obviously, we need the participants. Participants are the general public or non-members who are willing to learn and present 3 to 6 speeches, as I was mentioning you before. They will get the opportunity to learn and do table topics. They will also learn how to evaluate and give constructive feedback. They will also learn how to introduce new speakers and how the whole Toastmasters program functions and what are the multiple roles. Now to advisors. Typically in a Speechcraft program, we expect there is a 1-to-1 ratio between a participant and an advisor. An advisor is an experienced member who will step in as evaluators and coaches in prepping up the participants for their speeches. They will share their experience. They will share their experience specific to a topic or general speaking techniques. So the participants can develop their skills in a step-by-step fashion over the program's period. Before I go further, let me just take a quick pause. Suraj, can we check in with the participants about this?
Yes, definitely. This is an interesting question, Suresh. So everyone, Suresh has a question for you. Do you think the Speechcraft program is a part of Pathways or the manual-based Success Communication Series? If you think it's a part of Pathways, can you please raise your hand? So click on the participants button at the bottom of your screen and click on raise hand if you think the Speechcraft program is a part of Pathways.
Thank you, Suraj. While you're all responding to this, this is a tricky question, and I know that we are waiting for the answers, but let me share the solution or the answer to this. Currently, the Speechcraft program is based on the manual-based Success Communication Series, but this is also part of the Pathways program, where you have an opportunity to run this program and get the credit for running a successful Speechcraft program. And at the bottom, I put the source reference. This is basically the Speechcraft Coordinator's Guide, which is part of the Successful Communication Series. Toastmasters International is working on creating a fully online version of the Pathways program, or the Speechcraft program, which is fitting into the Pathways program. We are expecting that communication to come out in a quick time, but we do not have a specific timeline to share at this time. Suraj, do we have the responses?
Yes, we do, Suresh. So about 8 people said that the Speechcraft program is part of Pathways. And like you said, they're not entirely wrong.
Yeah. Sorry, this was a tricky question to kind of put it in the middle. Now, as I was talking to you about the whole program, here's a taste of what a session would be. So this is a typical agenda for the first session of the Speechcraft program. You can read through it, but the highlights of this session is expected to be around 90 minutes. And of course, that time can shrink a little bit depending on the number of participants you have, but the max expectation is 90 minutes. But as you go down the list, you would see that we are introducing the speakers to public speaking skills, and we evaluate how they are, where they are with their current speaking skills. We introduce them to the table topics, and then we take them further into delivering how to select a speech topic, and then we build them to the next session where they will work with their advisor to build on what their speech is going to be. Now, here's an example of a 4-session Speechcraft program, which is the shortest you can do, and how this session builds on each other to lead the program into a successful learning opportunity. So in the first session, as I was showing you before, you will evaluate the skills of the participants and help them in selecting a speech topic. Now, in the next session, you will introduce them to what an icebreaker speech is, and you will also inform them about speech organization. In the next session, they would deliver about a speech on how to organize your speech. They will also learn about what are different types of speech purposes, general and specific speech. And then, they will also deliver the final speech on the session 4, which in this program of 4 sessions will be the last session. And you will get to recognize and award their participation. This is a small program, as you can see, and it just builds one over the other. So if a participant happens to attend session 1 and misses session 2, jumps to session 3, there is a key part of the program which they have missed. So participation in each and every session is critical because we are building their skills one step at a time in every single session as we go towards the end of the program. Quick summary of some things I've spoken so far is Speechcraft program helps a club to grow, and it is certainly a long-term growth in the sense that people who experience this program always come back to it and always introduce their friends to it. When I conducted a Speechcraft program, there has been so many times where my peers at my workplace stopped me in the middle of a cafeteria and said, "Hey, are you giving this program again? I have 2 of my colleagues who wants to do this." So typically when you do a Speechcraft program, it is not one time. You will do a program, probably in 6 months from now, you will do one more program, and you will continue doing it because there will be enormous amount of interest for people to kind of step in and learn, and there's a lot of interest for everyone to do it. But Speechcraft is an opportunity for you to make the first positive impression because you're reaching out to everyone across the company or the general public, to everyone. It's very critical that you organize and promote this program in the best possible way. The person who's leading the session as a coordinator is well prepared. You need to open and end the sessions on time and make sure that you celebrate and recognize the participation at every single step of the way. Now, one final thought before I leave or get into the final slide is, one question we constantly get asked is, who gets credit for this? In a Speechcraft program, only the Speechcraft coordinator gets a credit towards their DTM. The people who help the Speechcraft coordinator in the program success get an opportunity to practice and learn for the first time, and then they can offer their skills as a coordinator in the subsequent session and build on it. So key call out here is Speechcraft Coordinator is the only person who gets a Distinguished Toastmaster credit or one credit towards a Distinguished Toastmaster program. As I close, as the key quote I want to share with you is, the pursuit of excellence is a journey without an end. We all are here because of this, and we continue to travel and learn and succeed. I wish you all the success as you participate in this journey, and Godspeed ahead. Suraj, do we have any questions?
Excellent. Thank you very much, Suresh, for that wonderful presentation. We do have some questions coming in, so I'm going to get started right away. And everyone, as a reminder, if you do have questions about the session, please message me privately, and I will ask Suresh right now in this Q&A session. So Suresh, your first question. You had mentioned fees for Speechcraft. What is a reasonable fee? And are there any guidelines from Toastmasters International on fees or fee structure to charge for Speechcraft?
There is no specific guidelines on the fee structure. I believe it is at the club level. You can make the decision. What do you feel is the most reasonable way to do it? There is no specific number I can share with you at this time.
Okay, thank you. Next question here is, Speechcraft sounds like a typical Toastmasters meeting with some one-on-one sections. So how would you promote Speechcraft differently versus a Toastmasters meeting?
So Speechcraft, as you mentioned, yes, it's very much like a regular Toastmasters meeting, but it's an opportunity for you to learn things step by step. Imagine that you are a guest to a Toastmasters program for the first ever time. You walk into the room, there is a set agenda, there is a sergeant-at-arms who opens the meeting, and there is a cadence of events right now that's happening, and you're just sitting there and participating and learning it. And then suddenly somebody calls you saying, hey, guests, can you step in and give a small talk? And a lot of times people are shy and they would just move away from it. And then typically as you visit more and more meetings, you get familiar with it, and then you get the courage and you participate and do this. Now, this is a period of time where people are learning, and sometimes you lose participation over a period of time because people are intimidated. Your Speechcraft is, I would say, like it's the training wheels for Toastmasters program. You get the opportunity to say, hey, you want to learn public speaking, or you want to know how a Toastmasters club develops leaders? Come and join us. We will teach you how to conduct a meeting, how to organize a meeting, how to introduce a speaker. We will give you every single process, every single steps involved in it, so that you can be a better leader and a better speaker. So that's how I would promote it.
Great, thank you. Next question here. Is Speechcraft something that I can offer for a volunteer opportunity with a youth group? This would not be connected to a Toastmasters club.
I believe you can, but Speechcraft is a very specific Toastmaster program. So you will have the Toastmasters ingredient in it. I'm not sure if you can conduct it absolutely independently. And I can check on it and get back to you if you send me a message directly.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Have you heard of multiple clubs coordinating and hosting a single Speechcraft program?
There is specifically a lot of interest in running such a program. I have not come across one that has been done. In my personal experience, two of us conducted 2 parallel sessions at the same time. So for a 2-month or a 3-month period, we did 2 different programs at 2 different times. That way we have the maximum coverage. So at a single club, we have done 2 meetings, 2 sessions in parallel. That's a possibility we have tested. I'm pretty sure at a community club level, yes, we should be able to do it as long as you can coordinate it.
Great, thank you. Next question here. Do you have any tips or insight on conducting Speechcraft virtually, since it sounds like that'll be the path forward for the foreseeable future?
Very appropriate question, and thank you for the question. Yes, this program right now is very much set with the old structure. But if you look at your regular Toastmasters Club meeting, we are able to carry it out online with little to no changes. We still have the same roles. We have adapted to the online venue. So I feel this program will be adaptable to the online version with slight changes here and there. But I do not see there is a big impediment or a challenge for it to be online at this time.
Great, thanks. I have a question for you. You mentioned DTM credit. So how does that DTM credit work? Is Speechcraft applicable to a specific Pathways project?
So let me take a step back. When we talk about DTM credit, in the new Pathways program, there are, I believe, 7 different criteria which you need to earn, or 7 different credits which you need to earn to get your DTM. Speechcraft program is one of those, and it is not specifically associated with the Pathways. It's associated with the club. It is not specific to a Pathways program, but this certainly would give you an opportunity to earn that credit for when you work for the specific club.
Excellent, thanks. And thank you, Bonnie, for sending me a very specific PowerPoint on that. All right, I have another question here. This is very applicable to today's time. In COVID America, people may not have time for 90-minute plus sessions. So if we had to cut down each session to an hour, what would you say are the most important aspects of the session that we must retain?
I absolutely understand having a 90-minute session is certainly a restriction in a lot of places right now. If you have to cut down the session timing, the one thing I would say not to sacrifice is the advisor part, where the participant and the advisors work. That is a critical part. Probably you can shorten the speeches which are given by the guest speakers a little bit. That might help you to shrink the session. And also, if you have less number of participants per session, the sessions might go much faster. That was my experience when I did the Speechcraft program.
Great, thank you. Thanks for pointing out the most important aspects of the program. A question here is from a club perspective. So for someone who's the president of the club, there's several roles to fill here in a Speechcraft program. There's coordinators, advisors, there's session roles. So at a minimum, how many members are required per session? And this is just so I know the manpower required for my club.
So critical person is the coordinator, and I would say at least a minimum number of person or a Toastmaster member participation per session would be 2, because the coordinator themselves can do multiple roles. Whenever they're not doing the coordination activities, they can do the speech. The part where you need one other person is to have the participant advisor workshop. So the more members who participate in it, the better it would be. I would even say that if you're willing to do this program, let's say you have 15 minutes for the participant and the advisor workshop, you could just invite members just for that 15 minutes. I'm pretty sure a lot of members can dedicate just that 15 minutes to help each other. That is a good time for them to connect and work with it. So I would say minimum two people, but it's a lot of overload. If you can get any more extra people, that's very good.
Absolutely.
Great question.
Yeah, thank you for providing those flexible options, especially in today's time when we have clubs potentially suffering for members. That's great that we can continue with this program. Another question here is, how effective is Speechcraft in getting new members? And I think the question here is around what is the typical conversion rate that you see from Speechcraft participant to Toastmasters member?
In District 4, we don't have much of a statistics to share, but in Southern California and other places, we have a lot of good conversions. I do not have the numbers with me, but I can certainly look for that and share with you if you send me a note directly. But overall, across the Toastmasters International, Speechcraft is one of the most successful programs for people to be attracted towards the Toastmaster Club.
Great, thank you. I think I have time for one more question. So a question here is, if a Speechcraft participant decides to join Toastmasters, can any of his or her Speechcraft speeches count towards pathway speeches, or does he have to start from scratch on pathways?
No. So one, as in the agenda I showed on the first session, you could see that at session 2, they're talking about icebreaker speech. And if you remember, in the Pathways program, the first speech is icebreaker. So they can certainly start using that speech towards that Pathways program credit for the icebreaker speech, and they can start there. And part of the program is that they will also learn how to evaluate and also give more speeches. So I think if your club is willing and the VPE and the participant can work together as a plan, they can incorporate at a minimum icebreaker speech or more evaluation and other parts of the program into the Pathways credit.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Suresh. And that's all the time we have right now. So thank you everyone for your wonderful questions. Thank you, Suresh, for your wonderful presentation. If you have any other questions, you're welcome to contact Suresh at sureshsugavanam.toastmasters@gmail.com. Take a screenshot. That's a long one to remember. A feedback form link will be in the chat shortly. So please fill out the forms to tell us what you thought of this session. You may now unmute yourself and turn on your camera if you would like to thank Suresh personally.